Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and I've just buzzed over from that other video that we watched. I recorded that earlier this morning and I put it on as a live so I could chat with you all. And God, how weird that these remains have been found as we were just talking about this search team and the guy off TikTok, Christopher Tenerife. He was right in his videos. What he said, he was there and he was right. And, you know, it doesn't feel good being right. I always felt that Jay was there and he would get found, but he's obviously must have been in some inaccessible location. But it makes you wonder why the Spanish police didn't find him in 2 weeks and they had dogs, etc. Anyway, we don't know the full circumstances yet. But this literally is news to me. So hi to all of you that have come over from there. Thank you for coming over. I'm going to have a look at Sky. Let's have a look at Sky News and see what they say. I haven't even read this yet. But literally, that was one of the chatters, wasn't it? Came on and let us know. It's a really weird feeling because it's like a relief. I'm glad that they've found him, but of course it's very sad. And all that horrible. I hope those people that have been saying all these awful things are sorry now, because all those horrible conspiracy theories, the family had something to do with it, his friends had something to do with it. I don't believe any of that. I never believed it, as you know. And sometimes it's hard to not get whipped up into a frenzy with mysterious cases like this until a body's found. And then, and even now, we don't know there'll be conspiracy theories about how he ended up there, that's for sure. I mean, of course, it's not been confirmed that it's him, but they will know. They will know by his clothes, his backpack, etc., whatever he had on him. If they found human remains, they will know if it's Jay or not before he's been formally identified. So it's like a relief, but how tragic, how heartbreaking for his family, because they'll have been just keeping hold of that. His dad said, I just hope someone has taken him down off this mountain, because once his dad had seen, the terrain and how awful it was, his dad will have known that Jay could not have survived more than a couple of days. And the reason that he hadn't been found by the searchers, when the searchers were out looking for him and they found that other hiker who said he didn't really need help. But of course, if Jay would have been alive when he would have heard the search teams and the helicopters and the dogs, etc., he would have somehow made himself known to them, even if he'd broken his leg, and he couldn't move, he could have shouted or, done something. And it's really heartbreaking. It's like Michael Mosley. There they were, the police searching, and they didn't find Michael, did they, for 5 days? And he was right next to the cafeteria. So it'd be interesting to see exactly where Jay was. And you know what? My heart just goes out to his family, because not only they've had to suffer the fact their son had gone missing and was probably dead. They've had to put up with all the horrible, nasty things that people have been saying on social media. And that really is, and not only on social media, on mainstream media, that really is the bad side of social media. It's been awful. But anyway, rescue workers searching for a missing British teenager, Jay Slater, in Tenerife, have found a body and are trying to identify it, Spanish police told Sky News. Evidence strongly suggests the remains are those of the 19-year-old. Police said in a statement, so it's not the Dutch team that's found them. It's the Mountain Rescue and Intervention Group of the Civil Guard, according to them, has discovered the lifeless body. Sorry, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. I've located the lifeless body of a young man in the Masca area after 29 days of constant search. Given the complexity of the case, the discovery has been possible thanks to the incessant and discreet search carried out by the Civil Guard during these 29 days, in which the natural space was preserved so it would not be filled with curious onlookers. So that's interesting. So what they're suggesting there is that although officially the search was called off, that they've been continuing to search, but quietly and without, because they didn't like it, the Guardia Civil, did they? Said there was too much noise over this case, didn't they? And they didn't, it's not, the Guardia Civil, they don't make statements until investigations are over. So, there was all that pressure. So there was all that pressure on them to, do a press conference. All the British media saying, oh, they should be doing a press conference and they should be doing this and they should be doing that, trying to tell the Spanish police how to do their job. And of course, you had Mark William Thomas going over there. I hope that documentary doesn't happen now, because, of course, if he's been found, oh my God, thank you God that it's been found as well before that documentary, because that documentary that's coming out in a couple of weeks, that would be even worse for the family. So now, I don't know, I presume they've already made that documentary, or they're going to change it quickly and turn it into another type of documentary. Anyway, all indications indicate it could be the young British man who has been missing since June the 17th, but in the absence of full identification. But they will know. The first investigations reveal that he could have suffered an accident, fall in the inaccessible area where he was found. Canarias radio reported that the civil guard had found a body in the village of Masca. All indications point to it being Jay Slater, the young British man who disappeared on the 17th of June in Tenerife, the station posted on X. So I'm going to have a look in a minute at the Spanish news, etc. The first investigations point to an accident or fall in the area, it added. Mr. Slater was last heard from after setting off to walk from a northern area of the island back to his holiday accommodation in the south, a journey of about 11 hours. He flew out to the Spanish island with friends on the 13th of June to attend a music festival at Papagayo nightclub in the southern resort of Playa de las Americanas 3 days later. Yes, so he's not in a boat. He's not going to be declared alive today, like people were saying, just why do people do things like that? Why don't they just wait for official confirmation of things? All those wild things, speculations that people were saying, it's exactly, they're saying all indications indicate a fall. I expect everyone will be out there saying, oh, well, maybe he was pushed, or, maybe somebody killed him and threw the body there later. There'll be all that. That'll all happen. Sometimes people just don't want to believe what is actually right in front of their face. And it goes on to say about 8:30 called his friend Lucy. A lot of people don't believe Lucy. I have no idea why. I honestly just don't understand why. Why would she lie? Why would she lie? Are they saying that she conspired to murder her friend with Brad and with the guy from the Airbnb and the woman that saw him coming out of the Airbnb? Is this a massive conspiracy? It just never made sense to me right from the beginning, all that. It just seemed likely to me that poor Jay had done what a lot of young people do, just thought he could make it, and he's very sadly, overestimated what he could do because he didn't understand the terrain. On Sunday, his mother Debbie said the family cannot put into words the heartache that they've been through, and they've been through a double heartache, because not only, normally if your son went missing, people would be sympathetic. And of course, a lot of people have been. But also they've had all this hate, all these lies, all these conspiracy theories to contend with. I just can't imagine how that must have felt for them. So she said her son was loved by everyone and has a close bond with his family and many, many friends. She described him as a loving son, brother, grandson, nephew, cousin, and friend to many. So I think part of the problem, wasn't it? It was Jay's history. That when he was 16, he was involved in this horrible, horrific attack on another young boy with a couple of the boys in his group. They had a machete, they had an axe. I think that's coloured this whole thing from the beginning. People have sort of looked at that and thought, oh, there must be, you know, something more nefarious to it. You know, and although obviously what Jay did or got involved with them when he was 16 is terrible, but even the guy that they attacked came out and said, look, you know, it was just like, he even pleaded with people not to be nasty to the family, etc. And he was the guy that was attacked by this group. So, right. So I'm going to look at for some more stories. I'm going to look for some more stories. No, so it was the police. It's the Guardia Civil that have found. Let me just make it clear. It's the Guardia Civil that have found Jay, not the new team. Okay, so there you go. I know people will still talk about conspiracies, etc. Maybe that's human nature trying to make something out of when people think, oh, that's a mysterious situation. They try and make something out of it, but it's not always a conspiracy. You know, sometimes weird things happen. They just happen. So unfortunately, accidents happen. People get into bad situations. And, you know, it looks like that's really what's happened here. And I to be honest, I've never seen anything that indicated to me that it was any different than that. Not proof of anything anyway. Let's have a look at the Daily Mail, what they had to say about it. Oh, they'll all be sorry now because it wasn't only social media that was pushing all these conspiracy theories. It was like rags like the Daily Mail and the Sun, etc. And of course, you know, Mark Williams Thomas didn't help, did he? So, yeah, it's more or less the same as they're saying on Sky News. Awaiting full identification, but everything is pointing to it being a young British man who disappeared, and the cause of death is likely to have been an accident or fall. It's very sad. You know, and all I would say to people who do believe these conspiracy theories or have, you know, implicated the family and stuff, have some human kindness, you know, because if you really think that, you know, it looks like they will be taking Jay home in a body bag now, doesn't it? You know, thank God they've got the GoFundMe that they can pay for that. I don't know how it'll work now with the Dutch search team. If this is Jay who's been found, then, you know, the family had contracted the Dutch search team for 5 days. I don't know if they had to pay for all that in advance or... I mean, the Dutch search, they're supposed to be non-profit, but they still have to be paid for, obviously, because, you know, it's not free to fly from Holland to Tenerife with 5 people and dogs and God knows what. And Jay's mum, Debbie, had said it had taken a lot of organising, hadn't she? So, you know, these kind of things, they're not free. I don't know what will happen to them now. You know, will they just get back on the plane and go back? Will the GoFundMe? I would imagine they'll have had to pay them in advance. So that cost a lot of money to fly 5 people out. Don't forget it's holiday season. So, you know, not when the flights are cheap in sort of December or November. Holiday season, peak time. People wanting to fly out, so those flights will have been expensive, and then they had to bring the dogs over and all their kit and everything will have cost quite a lot of money. So although the official search was called off after just 12 days, this is what they're saying here in the Mail, this prompted backlash from his desperate family who claimed they had been left in the dark. This is the problem with the Guardia Civil. You know, with their problem, it's just the way they work. They don't give out information, not even to family and friends. That's how I knew. You know, there's no way that they're giving information to Mark Williams Thomas or to anybody else. That is not the way the Guardia works. So, you know, why are they going to give any special information to anyone if they wouldn't even give it to the family? And now the spokesman for the Civil Guard says after 29 constant days of searching, he's saying, so basically what he's saying is they've been searching quietly. Yeah, they just wanted probably all the fuss to die down, all the people being there, and then they can just get on with it, you know. So yeah, just repeating really what Sky News said. The discovery has been possible thanks to the tireless and discreet search called out by the Civil Guard over 29 days. You'd think it was funny that suddenly the Dutch search team came over and found him instantly. It's not the Dutch search team that's found him, it's the Guardia Civil who found him. Officers of the Guardia Civil belonging to the Mountain Rescue and Intervention Group. Remember, we looked at the Guardia Civil website in one of the videos that I did, because I've always tried to stay to facts and not to, you know, all the wild things that have been circulating. And we had a look at the Mountain Rescue and Intervention Group, didn't we? And they've located him in the area of Masca belonging to them. So as time goes on today, it will come out exactly where they found him. It probably won't be very far from from where he went off the road. He probably, unfortunately, fell very shortly after he spoke to Lucy. So it says the unceasing and constant search carried out by the different units of the Civil Guard, in which it has not stopped to look for the young man every day in the area of Masca, where he allegedly had disappeared. And the Graham officers have found the dead body of the young person in a very inaccessible area. And the results of the autopsy are waiting confirmation that it's an accident. So let's have a look at the GoFundMe. I wonder if Debbie's put she's put an update. She probably hasn't had a chance yet. I mean, they'll be in shock. I expect the family would have been the first people that were let know. No, the last update is still the update that they put on Sunday to say that they were contracting this Dutch team. So, see, the thing is, I mean, it always should have been really, let me just share the GoFundMe, always really should have been a Spanish mountain rescue going out looking for them, because they're experienced in the terrain, aren't they? But there's the language barrier. I think that's probably really hindered them, you know, the language barrier. And it was probably easier to deal with somebody Dutch. That's probably Mark Williams Thomas maybe gave them, you know, suggested them, though I read that the Dutch team actually contacted the family themselves. So, but we, you know, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I read, but, you know, who knows what you read, if it's true or not. God, whatever. So it's very tragic, and all the horrible things that have been said. I hope all those people just feel ashamed of themselves, to be honest. Right, I'm going to have a look on the Guardia Civil X. God, I actually said X instead of Twitter. Let's see, Guardia Civil, they might have put something on. If not, I'm going to have a look at on the Spanish news. Probably that's the only information, to be honest, we've got so far. No, there's nothing on the Guardia Civil website yet. Let's have a look. So those people that phoned up Debbie and said they'd kidnapped her son, and if you want to see your son alive, and blah de blah de blah. You know, it's disgusting. All right, we've got some photos here of the scene. Let's have a look. So this is the scene where they've got the they're probably already, they'll be, I think this is supposed to be the scene. It is sad, because it's especially sad because he's been there for 4 weeks. You know, I don't want to go into the graphic details, but they'll know already that it's probably him. They'll know from his clothes, they'll know from his phone, whatever's in his backpack, the possessions that he had with him, they will know. So let's have a look at the Spanish news. Yeah, let's have a look at El Mundo. Just, oh God, you can't get on these newspaper things these days. Let's try this one. So they just come up with so many adverts, it's hard to read the article. Oh, yeah. Let's have a look at this. We have to sit through an ad. Make you all want a beer now. This seems to be the scene where they are. I'm trying to work out because we've been looking a lot.
En extensión, en toda la zona. Se ha buscado la zona de Marca, se ha buscado la zona del barranco de Juan López, se ha buscado en el barranco del Recamar, en el barranco de las Saneas, en el barranco de Carrizales. Se le ve, esa mañana se le ve, alrededor de las 8:10 de la mañana, se le ve en este punto, muy cerca de este punto, subiendo hacia el mirador.
So we saw it this morning.
Y más tarde la posición que comparte también le sitúa aquí. A veces luego por esa ladera se camina bien. Helicóptero 3 días. Nos vamos un poquito más.
Is this from today or is this from previous?
Vale.
Oh, this is from previous searches. That's not from today. That's definitely not from today. Right, it's just saying exactly the same thing. That's as they've said in the other papers. It's not saying anything different just yet. I think it'd be a while before we get any further information. Just go back to Sky News, because Sky News, they're pretty quick, Sky News, normally with news. All right, let's go back onto Sky News. Unfortunately, I've got to go soon because I've got a class, but so there you go. So but the body was found with Jay Slater's possessions and clothes. Oh, let's have a listen to this.
It started as a sprawling search, but then it became one that felt quite small at points, or it felt like it was them honing in on certain areas. One day they would look at ravines, other days they would look at crevices between rocks and mountain faces, and they had to just sort of take the area part by part. But even then, there was nothing. It's an extremely long time for a family to be waiting, more than a month now, for some form of an answer, and it doesn't look like it's the news that they were hoping for. As I have to stress, it is not yet formally confirmed that this is Jay Slater, but the Spanish police, the authorities, saying there is a strong indication it is him.
Shingi, of course, it was just yesterday that a statement was released.
Lisa, I don't know what you're talking. I've never said that Jay's alive. Right from the beginning, I said that what had happened to Jay was he'd got lost in the mountains and come to some harm. Now, I've come on to videos and said that other people are saying all these ridiculous things, but I've always said every time, I don't believe it. Till I get official confirmation of something, I don't believe it. So I'm sorry, Lisa, but what you're saying is just not true. So I don't think you can have watched the videos properly, because anyone who's watched all my videos will know that very sadly, apart from maybe the first 2-3 days where I still thought maybe would be found alive and that, but after 3-4 days, that was it. I knew that Jay had come to some harm up there in the mountains. Just was obvious to me. So Lisa, you need to sort of either watch the videos again or rethink what you're saying, because what you're saying is just not true. What post this morning said that he was alive? I think you're thinking of another channel, Lisa. Honestly, I do. I've never, the only post I've done this morning, I'd done a video about Jay, but it wasn't, honestly, God, I'm questioning myself now, and I know for a fact that I haven't. Yeah, Jay's the video I put on out this morning that I was that was running as the news came in that his remains had been found, is Jay's last walk. Will the Dutch search parties find him? I think you're thinking of somebody else, Lisa. You're getting your YouTubers mixed up. Don't get false news on my channel, I'm afraid. No way. No way it was me. That's completely wrong. Sorry. Everybody who comes on my channel regularly knows. So, you know, it's not true what you're saying. So if you keep on saying it, I might have
just
to
5
say
years ago
goodbye
when
to
people
you,
went
because
missing.
you need
How does
to
that
go away
compound
and check
things for
it.
families?
Why don't you go away and check it?
It's a good
Because
question, and it's
you're
something we've
lying now
understood
on
more
my
and more,
channel,
the
and
impact
I'm
on
not having
families
that.
when people speculate, when people don't just share
You
kind
could even
comments
be
and
another
thoughts and best
YouTuber. I
wishes
don't
when
even know
something
who you are.
horrendous
I've
is
never
happening
even
to you and
seen
your
you
loved
on here
one.
before.
Because regardless of why the person went missing and what was happening to them, the answer the families want is, where are they now and how can we get them home? And everything else is kind of irrelevant. And unfortunately, it's very painful reading comments, seeing people commenting and sharing all sorts of speculation and viewpoints that actually for the family are just very incredibly hurtful, I would imagine.
And the charities that exist like yours, and also like the charity that have been helping the Slater family, what help are you actually able to give?
Yeah, so LBT Global work when somebody goes missing abroad, and we work with them to make sure that we're getting the best support to families when that happens. So we're very focused on families with people missing in the UK, but also families where they have someone missing abroad. We provide both emotional and practical support, and we work with the police. We have our helpline available, and it's available now. It's on 116 000. It's free and confidential to anyone in the UK. And if people are affected or want to talk about what's happened, certainly to reaching out to Jay's family and his friends, you know, we have a counselling service, we have emotional support available, and we're obviously very, very keen to speak to people who need our help.
Oh,
Helen Alves from the Missing Persons Charity. Really good of you to join us. Thank you very much for talking to us. Well, if you're just joining us,
that was the little dog of one of the hikers that helped out, wasn't it?
The breaking news that we're bringing you this hour is that Spanish police say that they have found the body of a young man in the area where Jay Slater went missing. They say all indications indicated could be the young British man who has been missing since June the 17th. There still has to be a full identification. The first indications to the police are that he could have suffered an accident or fall in the inaccessible area where he was found. And we've also had a statement from LBT Global, who are a charity that's been helping the family of Jay Slater. And they say, although formal identification is yet to be carried out, the body was found with Mr. Slater's possessions and clothes. So it does seem that there's a really bleak end to this search for this
So if it's found with his possessions, etc., then it's definitely going to be Jay, isn't it? And it's a really weird feeling that I've got. It's like I'm sort of, you know, I'm happy that he's been found, but of course, this is just going to be heartbreaking for his family, because any little trace, I'm sure they would have loved some of the conspiracy theories to be correct. They would have loved him to be on a boat living it up somewhere, or they would have loved him to, you know, to be sort of hiding deliberately or whatever. You know, and all the horrible things that people have said about Jay and his family. I just hope, you know, they regret it now and they feel bad for it, because it's been terrible, the things that have been said. And it's taken a long time to find him, but of course it is a very, very inaccessible area. That's the other thing that I think people don't realise. You know, if it took 5 days to find Michael Mosley, and he was literally next to the cafeteria, you know, 30 seconds from civilization. Any time that we've looked at this terrain that the police have been searching, how could people even question the fact it would take a long time to find them? You know, I just don't understand that.
Young man. Let's just return to police commentator Graham Wetton. And Graham, that statement, that little bit of extra information that we got from LBT Global about the fact that his possessions and clothes were next to this body does really seem to point to this being Jay. And, you know, now we will just have to wait for this formal process of an autopsy to be carried out.
Yeah, the police will need to formally identify any remains, any body found. His Majesty's coroner will also need a cause of death and formal identification to be carried out. But even reading their statement, you just alluded to it there, but evidence strongly suggests the remains are those of a 19-year-old, and all indications indicate. So even when I was reading those words being used by the Spanish authorities, there were strong indications there that they are fairly confident. Sadly, it is.
The thing is, this is exactly what I've been trying to say all the way along. The Spanish authorities, they don't say much until they know something. They're not going to go out there and speculate like, you know, Mark Williams Thomas and, you know, that the guy at the Airbnb, as much as maybe he is a bit of a twunk because he did 9 years for drug dealing or whatever, it doesn't make him a murderer. You know, he's been dragged all over social media when it looks like, I mean, we don't know for sure because they could do this autopsy and it could be determined he's been stabbed. I don't know. I mean, we haven't had the autopsy yet. But again, for the Guardia Civil to say it looks like he'd just fallen down, they wouldn't say that unless they really thought it. You know, the Guardia Civil are very considered in everything they say. So, you know, somebody was saying there in the chat, will be interesting to see what Mark Williams Thomas, what's he going to say in this documentary coming out? What's he going to say about the Rolex watch that never existed? What's he going to say about the gangs and, you know, that Jay left that Airbnb scared, but he never gave us any evidence for anything that he said. Mark Williams Thomas came out with all that rubbish without one scrap of evidence or receipts. Just on, you know, of course, he can't possibly give away his sources. You know, no, he can't possibly. So what they're going to do with this documentary now, I wonder. They've got to change it because they're concentrating on the mystery of it. It was mysterious. Of course it was mysterious. That's what captures everybody's imagination. When things happen mysteriously, people go missing, you know, like with Nicola Bulley, like with Samantha Murphy. When people go missing, and there's no logical answer as to why they've gone. Though, to be honest, to me, right from the beginning, there was a logical answer why he went missing. He tried to cut across some terrain that he didn't have a clue about. He'd been away for 3 days. He'd not eaten. He had no water. He had no phone. And he's come to harm. Unfortunately, to me, that just seemed like the obvious thing that happened. And all the other things were just conspiracy theories built around it. And I think most of them are based on Jay's past, because he'd been involved. Once it came out that he'd been involved in that attack on another young man, at least in the group, even though he hadn't been the main protagonist, I think that was it then. That's when it all just started going crazy, wasn't it? You know, and then he was still not being found. And so people were still speculating.
Is Jay that they found, but they do have to wait for a much formal means of identification to be carried out before they can actually confirm it. I know people may understand or not understand how that happens or why it has to take that form, but they have to have it formally identified and remains to be formally identified for His Majesty's Coroner and for the Spanish authorities. So they have to go through this fairly lengthy process of actually identifying the body that's been found, albeit that maybe the clothing resembles that of Jay's, his belongings are found there as well. So as I said in this statement, all indications, and it strongly suggests that sadly it is Jay that they found, and they suspect at the moment from all indications of where he was found and the circumstances that he suffered a triple fall in this is largely inaccessible area, and it's very difficult to search these areas. Just looking at the pictures you're showing, they're not even that.
He said a triple fall then, didn't he? You know, a triple fall. Poor Jay. I know this sounds awful. I hope he wasn't lying there a long time suffering and couldn't move or whatever. I hope it was an instant thing for him, because now look what his mum's, you know, I'm filling up here now. I've got to do a class in 10 minutes. Look at what his mum will be going through now, thinking that all that time, you know, he was lying there. And she'll be thinking, how long was he there before he died? You know, these are the thoughts that go through your head. That was your loved one, your son, your daughter, you know, all their final moments. You'd want to know everything that had happened. And it does sound like, you know, he fell, bless him, he fell. It's awful terrain. It's, you know, we've seen it. We're just watching it just as that news came through. We were watching that video. We can see it on here.
You know, to cover on foot. It's very few footpaths, etc. If he was moving around maybe in twilight or dim light, etc., or he's fallen through bushes and so on, it's very difficult to find people. You go down ravines, into gorges, etc.
Exactly.
You can just see the type of terrain they've had to search. And to their credit, they've kept at this for a significant period of time, trying to find him in this largely inaccessible area with using dogs and people, and as we've mentioned before, drones as well.
This is why I like Sky News, because Sky News hasn't got, you know, I know mainstream media, none of them are perfect. I think Sky News, they got their fingers burnt, didn't they, through the Nicola Bulley case, and I've noticed they've been very much more careful since then. But, you know, they haven't gone down this Mark Williams Thomas, all the rubbish he's been spouting. They haven't even quoted him at all, you know, and that's why I always stick to Sky News, because I think out of any of the news channels, which, you know, I know they're not perfect, mainstream news is not perfect, but we use the mainstream news, you know, even as YouTubers, social media, we need to use the mainstream news for the news that we give out, because we need official confirmation of things. You know, so he's saying, yeah, triple fall, bless him. You know, he's probably, I mean, I don't even want to think about what happened to him, but if he slipped down something, maybe slipped onto the next thing, then, you know, I just hope he wasn't lying there for a long time. That's all I hope and pray. And I'm sure that's what his mum will be hoping and praying, that he didn't suffer too much. But the thing is, at least they've got their boy now. And I know that is cold comfort. We've talked about this so many times. You know, that's what Samantha Murphy's family haven't got the benefit of. They haven't been able to bring Samantha home and lay her to rest. Same with Anna Knezevich, her family, her body's not been found yet, even though that both of those two women, their murderers, have been charged. There's no, you know, they haven't actually been able to bring their bodies home, whereas at least Debbie will be able to take Jay home. She's got the money in the GoFundMe. Good job she's got the GoFundMe, because that will cost, you know, a pretty penny to, I presume she'll want to take him home to Oswald Twizzle. And I tell you what, all those people out there that have been saying horrible things, I hope you're sorry.
His mum, who was being helped by that charity LBT Global, she was using some of the money to deploy more search people and dogs to the area. There was a non-profit organisation based in the Netherlands who have experience searching for missing people who are going to go out there. She says that the Guardia Civil gave up the land search after 12 days. Do you think that there will now be questions about whether they should have continued that search for longer?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think the whole circumstances of the extent of the search, the conduct of the searches, the official search, the police search, I think that needs to be reviewed in the fullness of time and see just to what extent, and looking at where he's been found, the circumstances that these remains have been found. That all needs to be taken into account, what information they had, maybe as we've seen, as we've already discussed, other information that was being passed to authorities over the last 20 odd days. They have to check some of those as well, and some of the speculation hasn't been helpful. It's been hurtful to the family as well. I wouldn't blame any parent at all for using whatever resources they can get, either financial or whatever, by whatever means, to get more searches, more search teams. You can see the type of area that they had to search. It's really extensive. It's very rugged, inaccessible.
Okay, now I have to go now, unfortunately, much as I'd like to carry on, but I don't think we'll get any more. I don't think we'll get any more information at the moment. I'll probably be back on tonight to talk about anything else that comes out. But yeah, please light your candles. Please, put your candles on. And sorry, I'm just going to get rid of someone off there because they're just nasty. And you know what? I can't be asked. I'm going to light a candle. I can find my lighter. I can't find my lighter. But yeah, put your candles up. Put your candles up, please. And no more conspiracy theories. Exactly, Strange Trip. You know, the poor guy is being found. What happened to him is exactly what the police thought happened to him in the first place. That's exactly what's happened to him. You know, so yeah, there'll be more details coming out. Maybe it just doesn't it seem just logical that he would do that? You know, that he would think, a young lad like that, think, oh, I'm not waiting 2 hours for a bus. I can see the beach down there. I can just cut down here. That's, that just seems logical to me that they would do that. Not really, especially when you've been in a festival for 3 days and you don't even know. You're not really compass mentis, so I can't find my lighter, so I can't light the candle. But please put your candles up. I can't light my candle. Oh, I don't know where my lighter is, but never mind. Look, thank you for all of you that didn't go down the disrespectful line. Thank you so much. And I know, listen, we've all talked about theories, etc., because nobody knew what happened. That's different from being completely disrespectful, like some people are. And I'm just not in the mood for it, so I've just banned someone off there just because they're making. Why make disrespectful comments? When somebody's lost their son. They've just found their son's body, and everything that the hell that family have been through, people saying things that weren't true, that they were hiding them, raising the GoFundMe to, I just couldn't even repeat some of the things that people have been saying. So, have a bit of human decency. If you're out there and you are a bit of a troll or a bit of a nasty person, have a bit of human decency and respect this family that have now just found out that their son is dead. It's going to be him, isn't it? And they're going to facing a trip back to Lancashire with their son in a body bag. So have a bit of human decency, for God's sake. Oh, Joe, hi. Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Anyway, okay. I've got to go because I've got a class. But as always, thanks for being here with me. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God always go with you. And don't forget to like, please.